Monday, September 14th, 2015. You're listening to Thoughts from the Mind of a Freeman, or The Problem with Everything. My name is Holiday Rob, and this is
Loki Sapfoot.
And today our guest is mouth instrumentalist, acapella-ist, loopist, Zack Freeman.
He doesn't have lupus, but he is a loopist.
He's also a practicing fatherist.
Yes, he has some kids. You'll hear his thoughts on parenting, which I found insightful since I'm preparing to live with a girlfriend and a child here soon in a couple months. Trying to get my mind right for that endeavor.
The man-child will always end up being a man at some point, apparently.
You can't stop it. You can't stop the growth.
Or he'll die on his motorcycle, all methed out.
That's not going to happen to me.
With any luck. So you can get a hold of both of us. You can get a hold of me on Twitter at Holiday Rob, one word, Holiday Rob. And you can hit Loki.
You can find me on Twitter at Sapfoot. Or if you're on Xbox Live, NHL 16 comes out this week.
Oh, yeah.
I'm going to get that shit. You can play with or against me in that. It'll be fun. It's Live World. Is it Live World 23, I think?
Yeah.
I don't even know my
Not 26?
23.
23.
Live
Okay.
World 23. And as always, if no one's bought my album the entire time we've done this, it's sad. If you buy my album... I need $10 to change my gamer tag on Xbox Live to Loki Sapfoot so that I can remember what it is and so that it matches my not actual name. And so if you buy my album, maybe I'll be Loki Sapfoot, but for right now, I'm Live World 23 on Xbox Live.
Plus, you'll get a shout out on this here podcast. We also accept donations. I have no idea how, but you can... Maybe I'll try and put up a button this week or some kind of something, a link, a PayPal thing.
Yeah, I feel like there's like a PayPal widget you can slap on a Facebook page. That's
right?
a thing, right?
A widget is a thing.
Yeah, a widget.
Also, as always, this episode is not safe for work. So if you have it blaring through speakers and you have sensitive ears, such as that of people who are offended by things all the time.
Yeah, if there's any lame people around, you probably don't want to play this too loud if you're worried at all about what they think. We speak our minds freely.
But if you don't give a fuck, please turn us up and share us with friends. And but this week's guest is awesome. He's also doing 4 live performances in studio. We should have had a promo video up this week. So
yeah, you've probably watched the video. Now
like
prepare.
100 times.
Yeah, he's awesome. Zack Freeman, our illustrious... legendary guest this week.
Yep.
We're going to keep the intro short because it's a long, groovy talk, and you'll hear music by Zack Freeman throughout, and right now you'll hear Zack Freeman, right?
Yeah, he's going to be beatboxing his boobity-bop looper dealy.
All right, this is The Problem with Everything. Prepare yourself for a talk with Zack Freeman.
Peace.
don't tell no lie, no, oh no, no, oh no. Well, he said that he gon' put up the sky. He don't tell no lie, he don't tell no lie, no, oh no, no, oh no. Well, he said that he gon' put up the sky. He don't tell no lie, he don't tell no lie, no, oh no, no, well, he said that he gon' put up the sky. He don't tell no lie, he don't tell no lie, no, come on, oh no. Yo, we all thought that we could believe him, but then we pushed and now we can see that there's a new sky waiting for all of us to step. You never could imagine what one person could do. Yes, we all believe and we all try to understand things that we're looking at. Our own eyes are the things that we believe if we were paying attention to what just happened like a minute ago. We try to push and pull and we strive to move, and then we walk away and forget to say that this anthem means that we are all united underneath this banner of humanity. It's not you and me, it's just us and them and all of us pushing for the same reason that we're getting farther. It's okay if we all get wounded in the struggle, but the problem is that we are causing all the trouble. Now come on. He said that he gon' put up the sky. He said that he gon' put up the sky. He don't tell no lie. He don't tell no lie. Oh no no. He said that he gon' put up the sky. He don't tell no lie. He don't tell no lie. No. Oh no. No. Oh no. Yo, we all back in the saddle once again, riding around like cowboys and Indians. Gee, it's really funny when we asking for the money that we've already been paid just for being citizens. It's like more rights for the more fights for us to stop responsibility that's falling apart. We all losing all the footing that we had, because we all know that when we grow up we just wanna be bad, not cool. We play the fool when we have the time to pay attention to our kids. Now we got these rhymes that make more sense to us than the money in the wallet that we spent 8 hours trying to work for. It's no door, it's in store, it's a new sale, it's another day to bail out on the people that we thought that we were now. It's just another price tag, put that back into the bag, y'all. If you need another hamburger, another french fry, another freaking frozen drink, because that stops us off from thinking about the things that really matter. Now we're watching ourselves. It's like obesity is not just another unit, it's a way of life. So just look at your wife and your kids and your car and your dog. It's not far for you to that I'm not really trying to lie about Macho Man. Size is really us, and you can't believe that it happened to you. You woke up one day and you found out that it wouldn't let you have space. It was all about, it's like air we breathe, it's like songs we see, it's like lives we want, it's those things we from we can't be any more useful than we really were when we were just babies. It's so weird. He said that he gon' put up the sky. He don't tell no lie, he don't tell no lie, no. Oh no, no, oh no, yeah. He said that he gon' put up the sky. He don't tell no lie, he don't tell no lie, no. Oh no, no, oh no, yeah. He said that he gon' put up the sky. He don't tell no lie, he don't tell no lie, no. Okay, so my name's Zack Freeman, and the name of that song was Macho Man, and it was a song about being nice to each other. Oh yeah. Oh yeah, that's right. Macho Man. He's not dead, right? Yeah, did he? Oh, lame. Okay.
Are we all? Do we all sound the same?
I think so.
Yeah. I'm gonna agree.
That sounds right.
All right.
Feels right.
Feels right.
Let's do it.
Okay. Hey, everybody. Hey,
hi.
We're the problem with everything, and we're here today with Zack Freeman. How you doing, Zack?
Hey, what's going on, y'all?
So for those who don't know you, what's your like elevator speech to strangers?
Hi, my name's Zack Freeman. I'm half black and half Samoan. I'm born and raised LDS. I have 2 kids. My wife is like really, really Northern European, and so our kids look Puerto Rican.
All right.
So if I see some Puerto Rican kids, I'm like, that's
Those are Freemans. Yeah, no. In all seriousness, though, when my son was born, I sat there looking at him for like easily like 2 hours because, you know, your first kid and you're just like, oh, and I'm like waiting for him to get darker.
Yeah.
and it like took a couple hours for me to realize, hey, man, you know what? Your kid's only a quarter black. So you can get up and go get a Twinkie or something now.
It's not like when it dries off, it's going to dry.
I know, but you know, like I'm like 22 years old. What's going on here? I just saw a baby born.
That's too good. So obviously we're having you on because you're a musician.
Yes.
So how would you describe to like your grandparents' friends what you do?
Okay.
That's a hard question.
I know.
Oh man, you know what? I don't think it would work.
Yeah, you don't think so?
But
conceptually, they wouldn't be able to grasp.
No, because so one thing that technology has definitely done for us is made a lot of interesting things that happen on a normal everyday basis to us human beings very hard to explain because they're so fantastic.
Right,
you know,
right.
it's like
context at all.
I know, right? Like telling my great grandma that I have this thing that I stick on the side of my head and I can talk to my mother in Utah with, and she's like, "What would that be?" And it doesn't plug into nothing neither. Okay, right. So but the music thing. Okay, so I'm an a cappella musician, which means that all of the music that I make is only done with the human voice.
Yeah,
but I have an advantage. I have a machine called a looper that I can record myself on live, and I make beats out of chunks of sound going in a circle. So
I like the chunks of sound.
Chunks of sound going in a circle.
Way better than loops. Loops is so played out.
Yeah. But I mean, essentially that, you know, it's just that boom, boom, boom.
Sample chunks. Chunky samples.
Chunky samples? I love it.
I like that. That sounds like an album name.
Chunky samples.
Chunky samples.
Yes.
Straight up. But yeah, so I use this machine to take chunks of sound, send them in a circle, and I layer them. So I create a all human voice
driven,
piece of music. And I think actually there's probably a fair number of live loopers like me who do this, but I improvise all my shows. Like I have the lyrics in my head that I've memorized, but the music is always different because there's no way I am ever going to sing a song the same way twice because it's awesome. Boring, man. You know,
right.
Yeah,
you ever been in a cover band?
No,
I don't recommend it.
Thank God. I've done some covers in a band, but
so that's kind of interesting. I didn't want to get that deep into it yet, but maybe we'll get back to it. But so then the other thing is, how did you end up like getting to this point? How did you what led you to the looping? Like, I mean, was there anything else you had an interest in musically before you got there, and then you were like, well, I don't need anything else. Let's just do the looping and the vocals.
Yeah, actually, it's funny. Like the first thing was in high school. My mom bought a karaoke machine, and I learned how to overdub on the karaoke machine. And I was like,
nice.
This is the most awesome thing in the world because I had just heard like Take Six and Bobby McFerrin all within like the same year.
Oh, nice.
So you were doing harmonies with yourself.
Yeah, and you know, and my mom was like, that's so awesome. And I was like, it is. And I know in the back of her head she was never thinking, this boy gonna grow up and like be a one-man band singing to himself.
Do this.
I know, right?
Do this and people are gonna watch.
Well, like how new is the looping vocals
It's
thing?
Old.
Right.
There
been
is
around.
Yeah, there's one of my homegirls, Ann Martinez she's actually the assistant director for the juvenile detention home. This was like a running joke for a long time, but she's like, have you watched Jammin' on the One? And I was like, what is that? Well, you can Google Jammin' on the One, and the YouTube video that comes up is a chunk from The Cosby Show of Stevie Wonder sampling each of the members of the Cosby family and then making a song out of it.
Yeah.
And like, I was like, oh, that wasn't a joke then? That was like a real thing? Yeah, it's a hilarious clip to watch because now so many people do that. But yeah, that kind of thing's been around for a minute.
Yeah.
But that's awesome just to kind of like come onto the discovery of it. I mean, that's kind of like the history of hip hop. That's how it was born. I mean, you know, you had the break in a song and you're like, man, if I just had 2 turntables and be able to like
play this over and
continuously do that.
The difference being, though, it's almost the opposite, really, to do it this way, because that was taking a sample and transforming it, Whereas what you're doing, it's all
yeah,
original.
building it.
You're
Yeah.
transforming your own self.
The noise that is coming out of your head.
Yeah. Well, that's like one thing that I try to like tell kids, especially. Well, I'm gonna change that because like kids are cool, but like anybody should be able to do this. The thing that the sampler lets you do is say and sing the exact music that is in your head. Like you only
the way that you do it.
Exactly.
It's like speaking in tongues. Like you are all voices at once.
Yeah, kind of. Kind of. It's really weird. Like sometimes I'll hit a loop right, and like the lyrics that I'll use at that moment will like literally make me want to cry. And like it's just momentary, you know, it's just that synergistic like blah, and I'll like it's like you get slapped by the spirit for like 20 seconds. You're like, but I gotta sing. I'm choking up. Whoa, look at this guy. You know.
Yeah.
It's one of those things though that's like that comes with performing is that like as you get better at performing, it's kind of subconscious. Like your subconscious starts bleeding through a little bit. Like you'll be playing. Like I remember in Batwings like doing performances. And like start thinking about things like what am I going to do next week when I need laundry done? Or, you know, just something random. And I'd almost miss like certain cues because I'd be so lost in like a thought because the
your
body,
hands on automatic.
Yeah, the body knows what it's doing.
I would do that, but I'd also do a thing where I would hear what I was saying as I was saying it, but from like a different person in my head.
Yeah.
So like even though I wrote it or whatever, it was like I was hearing it in like a new light from a different perspective of my own mind.
Yeah.
That shit happened all the time if I just zoned out right.
Yeah. That's funny. That's happened to me too. I think, and that's part of the like the weird synergistic moment that makes me want. I don't think I've ever told anybody really about this, but like, yeah, like there's like one song in particular that I have where it's like talks about like not being a jerk in the world, and like there's the lines like so on this rainy day keep your chicks under wing and pray for understanding to prevail so hate don't fall like rain and hail. And usually when I get to that part in the song, or there's this other part, what is it? My son is basically I'm talking about my kid sitting in my lap and me thinking that like, what if he goes off to war one day? And like that, when I hit the loop right, and it's like a really, really super good groove that fits that stuff exactly, that song makes me want to cry on stage. It does it all the time, and I always forget because I'm like, dude, whoa, the crying thing. You know? But it is that thing of like, you're hearing it again, but you're hearing it in the correct light where you're like, that makes sense. What you just said right there is important. Maybe only to you, and maybe only to that guy right there, but that was important. You know?
You get the feeling like the conduit thing where it's like God speaking through you. I know that sounds conceited.
But there is some like of the universe talking through you. Yeah,
right. It's actually the opposite of conceited. It's like the ultimate humbling, right? Because you're not taking credit for it.
You're becoming part of everything.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Happens.
Yeah.
When it's flowing right, that's the way it goes.
Going back to the every song can kind of be its own thing, especially like that's like the best thing about a live performance situation is you're not necessarily trying to play the album, hopefully, all the time. I mean, sometimes you are, but music and even the emotion that it causes, it's like ephemera. It doesn't last. It just happens, and this thing kind of happens. And I don't know. Does anybody feel like that's lacking in music these days?
I don't know. I don't pay attention to music these days, so I have no idea.
Yeah,
You're
I'm
lucky.
out of the loop,
You're
so to
lucky.
speak.
It's weird because like now my kids have their own music that they listen to, and they don't listen to anything that I listen to.
Yeah.
What do your kids listen to?
My daughter listens to a lot of rock. It's awesome.
Do you,
like
artists? Do you
yeah,
know
like
who they are?
well, they're pop stuff, like Fall Out Boy and kind of guys in that vein. And my son's like the big old Hoosier fan of the world, and he
like Indiana,
like the guy Hoosier,
Oh.
the guitar player guy.
I have no idea.
Oh, you guys don't know?
No
That's
idea.
so awesome.
Dang.
So there's this
Hoosier?
guy, yeah.
like the Indiana Hoosiers, like
I think that's
HOOSIE.
Or is
I think his name's only got one O. He's the one that sings that "Take Me to Church."
okay.
That guy.
Right.
So that's the kind of stuff that my kids listen to. They listen to absolutely like no hip hop, no soul. But I'm kind of like, that's alright, like.
In their 20s, they're gonna get into that because it's like the cool old thing.
Yeah, right.
Right.
And yeah, I kind of don't listen to. I've gotten kind of like about music too. I mean, I'll go see locals and stuff like that. But
I don't even do that anymore. I should, but I don't.
I don't honestly know. I think there probably is because like music is not like the way that we perceive it here in the United States all over the world. I'm pretty sure there are thousands of musicians that come and leave it all on the floor, you know.
Yeah.
But
Foo
definitely,
Fighters supposedly still put it down. I don't really like them,
Yeah.
but from like stories I've heard, like Dave Grohl breaking his leg and then leaving for like 10 minutes and finishing the whole show sitting in a chair kind of shit.
that's crazy.
That happened.
That's amazing.
Yeah, they do crazy things.
Yeah.
They've done like impromptu covers of like fans' favorite songs.
That's pretty cool.
That kind of
That's
stuff.
pretty cool.
Yeah.
But if you're Foo Fighters and first off, you're Foo Fighters. Second, you pull that's like, I like the Foo Fighters, you know, not everything,
I don't
but like,
dislike them. They just don't do much for me.
Right.
But it's
I have
like
some favorites of theirs, but not.
yeah, like Everlong is cool. I don't know. It's just so many of their songs just sound like songs that are songs.
No.
There's no spark for me. Like,
yeah.
and I don't know a lot of their deep catalog, but just from the radio hits, I don't.
But see, I feel like
doesn't
rock
do
and roll
much
is kind
for
of
me.
like that for me at this point.
Really?
Right.
Just it's like I've soaked in so much that I can't like hear anything new in the new thing.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, not across the board. There are some things like I love this band called the Jezebels from Australia.
Mm-hmm.
Like they're amazing, but they have like a throwback of like kind of being a little bit like Pretenders and like kind of 90s rock. So
Yeah, that's interesting.
You know, it's like
It's all been done. At this point, it's about how you mash one thing with a different thing.
I don't know. I don't know
right?
that it's all been done. We're watching we got Mr.
Weirdo.
Mr. chunks of
Chunky samples over here.
samples.
Mr. Chunk Sample here.
Well, you know, that's interesting because like the whole no new thing under the sun, I feel like that is eventually, maybe it is happening. But like there's also the X factors of the combinations. You know, like freaking if I would learn how to beatbox like Zimbabwe style drumming. That would be different.
Or you had some neck tattoo. No, I'm just kidding.
Or some neck tattoos.
No, I mean, like because we talk on here and we're like always talking about how like a lot of it too is image, you know, just like who cares what you sound like? What do you look like?
I'm into that. Like I like Marilyn Manson, and the image is a big part of that.
Yeah.
There's a place for it, you know.
Right.
Theatrics.
Yes,
but if you're just
Slipknot,
depending on
stuff
that,
like
Yeah. I was telling my kids about another guy that I know who plays, and he like doesn't really think about what he wears. Young guy, and he's kind of just like, I'm just like this, you know. And I'm like, that's interesting and that's cool. But he doesn't play any shows, you know. And that was kind of my thing. Of like, it's one thing to like totally have the musician persona and all that stuff going on, but like, I'm kind of like. And I think I'm old. That's why I think like this. I'm like, you should take some time to earn the right to dress however you want as a musician. And you know, my kid was kind of like, I don't get that. And I was like, well, put it like this. I had to play an a cappella groups for a long time to realize that was not my thing. You know, it was like 10 years of that to be like,
well, like barbershop quartets,
like
and
that
kind
with
of thing?
beatbox. Yeah.
Okay.
But like, you know, everybody wearing similar outfits, and then having to do choreography every now and then crooning the girls,
Trying to be like Boys to Men.
Yeah, but like more like One Direction Boys to Men. I was like, oh,
ouch.
That's why I quit, because I was like, you know, like this so is not me. I am not the backup guy for some crooner. You know, that it's not that my older brother was the kind of like the best singer in the band. And me and him were like awesome together, you know. But I back him any day. But just the idea of like, this is how I'm gonna do music for the next 10 years. And one day it was like, no, we're not.
I kind of felt a similar way, like trying to do like a solo rap thing after Batwings died. I mean, I guess it was maybe similar, but it was to where like I'd go to this scene and I'd see everybody like trying to be the hip hop guy. Like, just trying to be an image of, not that they weren't even good, but even when it was good, it was, I've seen this before, I've heard this before.
Right.
I don't want to try to fit something else so other people will like me.
Yeah.
I can't do this.
Yeah.
Like, that and being on stage with an iPod and karaoke style is just sad. Sad. Did a couple of those,
thank you.
and it's just, I can't. I can't hang with this.
That's
But
freaking
a
hilarious,
different
man.
story.
Really?
That's a different story.
No, like, seriously, what happened? Did you just...
No, it's just after having a full band of, like, a drum kit.
Well, you can feel the sound. The sound's happening around you.
I have to compete with it, so I'm more intense. When it's just a little karaoke thing, and I can hear myself perfectly in the monitor, and there's no edge to grade against.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's just like... I felt like I was trying to be Britney Spears or something.
Wow, that's really interesting.
Yeah.
That is really interesting.
I also went on between two bands, so it was almost like I was intermission jester.
Oh.
So that might have been a problem, too.
Yeah. Well, now it's time to have a conversation.
Enjoy your smoke break. I'll be here trying to...
Pour my soul into the universe.
Feel free to talk over me. Thanks.
No, but here's why that's interesting is because, like, that's basically what I do. Like, I throw on some earbuds. I freaking plug into my machine. I don't have monitors. So everything I hear gets balanced right there in front of me, you know? And so I ended up having to, when I started, my samples, the stuff I was doing was like really, really thick. It wasn't always in tune. And I didn't care. I was like, I don't care if I sing a little bit out of tune. I don't care if I sing a lot out of tune. But then I started noticing that, like, when I'm doing that, I'm very gimmicky. Like, people aren't watching because the music is dope. They're watching because it's so freaking strange.
Right.
And so that's one thing that I've had to do, like,
it's
as
the novelty of
it.
it.
Exactly. It's like grow from, like, being novelty to, like, no, I'm really actually composing up here. I gotta sing in tune. I gotta use musical devices that will keep people here or make people dance. And that's been a struggle. I mean,
yeah, and Quietly Kept, that's what I play on, is the novelty of being able to play a drum and a guitar and sing at the same time. So that way they have to, like, sit there and be like, oh, maybe this is worth
they at least have to look.
Well, exactly.
For a second.
That's all you're asking for. Like, just look.
Jamming your foot in the door a little bit, making them peek.
But trying to do, like, three things at once, because and it's kind of interesting like that, because on the one hand you're kind of like, would I've ever actually gotten to that point if it hadn't gotten so hard to define yourself, I guess, a little bit? Like, you know, that was why I introduced the drum, because who gives a shit? Like, we haven't seen a guy and a girl sing together with an acoustic guitar. Like, there's a million YouTube videos like that.
Seen this one.
So I saw this guy, Kim Churchill, perform like that. He opened up for Billy Bragg when they came through here one time. But that guy plays, like, a snare, and he, like, doesn't wear shoes, and he, like, can mess with his pedals, and he
with his feet.
Yes,
nice.
It's amazing, and he also wears like a harmonica, so he does harmonica. But there's also
his pedals stink.
And there's I know, right?
Gross.
They smell like bad hands. But then his harmonica is hooked up to, like, a reverb microphone, so he can do, like, you know, reverb vocals when he's, like, away from the main mic. He's a badass.
What's his name?
Kim Churchill.
Wow.
He's an Australian too. I guess I listen to a lot of.
I was gonna say, do you have, like,
stuff.
a thing?
I like how they talk, mate. And I like koala bears.
And wallabies. I like wallabies. They look like really friendly bears.
They look like weird dog things.
I know, but they're all cuddly and they're, like, soft looking. I guess they had giant wallabies before that were
Really?
like the size of, like, giant
wallabies.
I know, it's like, you mean like a bear-sized wallaby? That doesn't.
I know they talk about
talk
about like the giant sloths that used to exist, and you're like,
like
man,
the
that thing must be so
man.
slow.
It's like getting killed by a giant Hello Kitty or something.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
A wallaby eviscerating you and eating your intestines.
Or just, like, accidentally sitting on you. It was warm and it was fuzzy and I died.
Do wallabies eat people? I mean, would they if they were big?
Are
they meat eaters?
Are they omnivorous?
I think they're actually herbivores. I think. But since
like they would
nobody
eat
has to,
grubs or something?
somebody can, like, listen to this and be like, Freeman's stupid. They're omnivores.
But maybe they do, like, protect themselves, so they could still kill you.
Don't worry.
They will now. We're getting the inside.
Well, sloths, they do have claws, right?
Inside scoop, yeah, right.
They could slowly swipe you with the claw.
That's kind of like killing you with kindness. Like, I'm gonna kill you now.
And I said have to smother you. Just jump on your face.
I have a 40-year plan for his death. In 40 years, it will become. Should nothing else kill him in that time?
I know, right?
The sloth sits you down. Gives you a PowerPoint presentation like it's trying to sell you a timeshare.
Yeah.
This is my plan for killing you. If I can just have a moment of your time, sir.
No, the government does that, man. I used to work for the government up until like 2 weeks ago on Friday.
Congratulations.
Yeah,
Dang.
Zack Freeman.
I was formerly the graphic designer and video guy and outreach presenter for the Attorney General's office.
Wow.
But my job changed a lot over the last 6 months, and then one day I was just kind of like, you know what, I'm not really doing what I like doing. So
You became they made you part of the bureaucracy.
yeah, government's interesting that way because, and not to be horribly critical of the government, because I'm a member of the National Guard on public affairs for with the 200 pad, but some parts of the government are they have a lot of resources, but they're not
Utilizing them in the correct way.
the public doesn't get to use all of them because they don't know that they exist, and that's part of the piece that communications and visual communication through graphic designs and whatnot comes in. And so, but I wasn't doing that, and so I was like, my boss is awesome, but I'm going to have to quit. And so I do have an awesome boss. His name is John Martinez. He's bad.
Word.
But so I stopped doing that, and now I'm teaching and working for a
Nice.
software development company.
Awesome. So speaking of teaching to the new generation, there have been like a couple videos that you've put up on Facebook.
Mm-hmm.
One of them I was telling Loki about, which is like basically like internet safety. And I saw you a couple weeks ago at at the rail yards performing, and you kind of took a moment to talk about that. So I kind of wanted to get around to that a little bit because of all the musical influences you might have. I think your kids are probably like one of the biggest influences on you.
Yeah.
That's probably unavoidable.
You can hold your children in a photo and be like, I'm under the influence.
Seriously? I'm going to do that photo shoot. Because honestly, like, that was a big thing for me when my kids were small, was carrying them, like physically carrying them and then like throwing them.
Yeah.
And so there's this really strange thing that happened to my son because I threw him around all the time. He has a very interesting sense of where he is in space. My son is the first person I've met who, when you're like, hey, a backflip means you run, do a round off, and jump backwards, tuck your knees, and flip over.
Yeah.
And so he runs, jumps forward, does a tuck, twists in midair, and lands on his feet. He's like, was that it? And all of us are standing around like, no. That's impossible what you just did.
No, but that was badass.
I know, it's like nobody had a camera. I have to describe that now. But well, part of that was just like I love my kids, but like dads kind of have to earn the connection, and so I was like, well, I'll just keep you close to my body and chuck you around as often as possible. And then I guess for the most part it worked. They like me, I like them. I carried my daughter on my shoulders until she was probably like 7, and she was like, Dad, my legs hurt. Okay, you can get down now.
I can't feel my toes.
I know.
You get like the bonus workout too, right? It's like a
I'm not even joking,
extra
y'all.
large backpack all day.
If
You
you've
got a
ever,
balancer.
yeah, throw around 40 pounds for a half an hour. See how your arms look the next day.
It's good core work.
Yeah.
too.
Kettlebells.
Yeah, except for they talk, and then afterwards they're hungry. Thank you for throwing me, McDonald's.
Yeah,
No,
I've never had
kale.
to feed my gym equipment before.
Not even your shake weight.
Oh man, dude, how did that thing ever make it? I watched the commercials and the dude's like sitting there shaking it. I'm like, nobody on the marketing team thought that this would be a weird idea, huh?
Seems like it would work all right though. Trying to hold it still would stabilize.
right.
Stabilize.
But just the overall like.
Do you want to get caught dead in front of your homies doing that in the living room, just watching Netflix? Oh no, I'm working out, bro.
knocking on the door? You're like, how's it going? I'm doing all right.
You have like a tremor in your arm.
Oh, dude, that's terrible. I'm sorry. Did I even answer your question about
No,
this?
it's okay. We're getting there. But yeah, like. So we were talking about this video where one of them was this guy pretends to be like a teenager or whatever on the internet, and he invites like, "Hey, why don't you come into my windowless freaking van that's parked outside?" And she shows up, and her parents are like, in
the van there,
hooded, with masks on, and they like grab her, and it's a moment of horror like for her. And if you're watching, you're like, "Oh my god, if this was really happening, it's really happening for her." So I don't know how you're watching it not happening for you to some extent, but then they are so pissed. They just look at her like, oh.
Yeah.
What are you doing going into a windowless van, little girl?
Right.
Yeah, I played that video in my presentation. Well, I did play that video in the presentation when I did it. And I'd recently put it in there because I was like, people need to be thunderstruck. They need to, like, look at this problem and be like, hold on a second. I could have been looking at 3 actual abductions. And that kind of stuff actually does happen, you know? Like, a lot of it doesn't get reported in the media because no parent wants to get up there and be like, yeah, that happened to my girl, too.
I saw a news story today. 2 parents from Mexico tracked their daughter down in New York City.
Whoa.
And right before she was going to get sold to whoever, you know, whatever nefarious, disgusting thing.
Right.
But, yeah, that's crazy.
I will find you, and I will kill you.
Pull the bootstrap up, put the nail in the coffin, cause it's brave when the south wind is blowing hot so often. It's a rainy day for playing, a great day for fighting. Pull the bootstrap up, cause my spine can feel the light. Pull the bootstrap up, put the nail in the coffin, cause it's gray when the south wind is blowing hot so often. It's a rainy day for playing, a great day for fighting. Pull the bootstrap up, cause my spine can feel the light. Pull the bootstrap up, put the nail in the coffin, cause it's gray when the south wind is blowing hot so often. It's a rainy day for playing, a great day for fighting. Pull the bootstrap up, cause my spine can feel the lightning. Yo, icy fruit and blazing on my lap, oh, cause I'm heaven sent. Push the conversation, cause negotiation's relevant. Bills explode to laws and come stomping like an elephant. The toll man pays the army and dictation is heaven sent. I am not no natural, not a savior, not a prophet. Just a man with this magic flute playing for soldiers. They all pay me with the pictures of their wives and daughters crying. The toll is paid in cash and the widows keep on crying. Put the nail in the coffin, cause it's gray when the south wind is blowing hot so often. A great day for fighting. Pull the bootstrap up, cause my spine can feel the lightning. Strap the visa with some handcuffs, put the key back in the wallet, blow the whistle. Black Maria is making a new profit from my hat, lined with dollars and a vest made of new feathers that I plucked from the wings of a bird that sings forever. It's a drab and dreary march, and I'll see you in November with a handshake and a wink, cause the deal gon' last forever. No more drowning, no more payments, no more interest till next summer as we cruise through the ghetto in a 1990 Hummer, with a brain made of chrome and some eyes made of ice and a heart of melted stone. Man, the toll man makes it nice, cause the bass is really humming. You can hear it in the culture and we'll make $1 million $1 million on the backs of all our fathers. Marching and half slouching from a breakbeat to a shotgun blast. Rolling back them covers cause the dream is gone tonight and past. Cram a cup of courage for the camping cause that's relevant. We're headed back to war cause negotiations relevant. Yeah. Put the nail in the coffin, baby. Blowing hot so often. It's a rainy day for playing, a great day for fighting. Pull the bootstrap up, cause my spine can feel the lighting. Pull the bootstrap up, put the nail in the coffin, cause it's great when the south wind is blowing hot so often. It's a rainy day for playing, a great day for fighting. Pull the bootstrap up, cause my spine can feel the lightning. Okay. My name is Zack Freeman, and that song is called Bootstrap. Serious, but that's the thing that a lot of that. Okay, so there's this one place where this problem really starts is in our insecurities as parents in being able to teach our kids how to act right. And so our generation, it was like, you know what? If you're not outside of the school at 3:30 when I come to pick you up, you walking home.
Yeah.
And so you showed up at 3:50 like, where mom at? And you get a quarter, I'll call and be like, I just got outside. She's like, I'm home. You're walking. You know?
Yeah.
But it was, you had to be somewhere because we didn't have all this crazy communication devices. And now mom and dad are like, oh, I got to know where you are. Let me buy you a iPhone 5 so you can take it to school with you so I can call you whenever I need to.
Right.
Which is stupid because you sent them to school where they're supposed to be for 8 hours, and you should have taught them to not leave the school.
Right.
Now, granted, I was a horrible teenager. I ditched and did everything wrong as a teenager.
Yeah.
But now, looking back on the way that we as a society treat our kids in relation to their personal freedoms and then the anarchy of the internet, our answer to that was to give them all cell phones. That was not a good idea.
It's kind of the pandering through technology type thing. Like when people use their TVs to babysit their toddlers, we're just like...
It's an extension of that.
Oh, man. That's awful. So what kind of brought you to want to look into that before you got to, like, that point? I mean, like, what kind of just, like, did, like, a certain event, you read about an event or hear something happening, or you just keep seeing it over and over again and you're like...
Well, I saw a couple of weird things. First off, I used to do a media literacy presentation that I would just call my homies that all taught and be like, hey, let me come and suck up an hour of your school time. Because I worked for Channel 27. And so all this, like, how, it's not how the media, but how the amount of media and what it looks like and how much sex and violence is in it and how much marketing is in it. Because I was also going to school for graphic design. So I'm, like, getting all this very strange knowledge stirred into my head at one time.
About marketing and media.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so I was like, oh, my goodness. Teenagers are, like, totally getting suckered.
Right.
So I'm going to go to school.
Since childhood.
Yes. You know, and like the cigarette thing, when they went after tobacco companies for marketing cigarettes to little kids, I was like, that's like the tip of the iceberg.
Right.
That's, you know, I was like, that's like the evilest thing that you can accurately point a finger at.
Well, it's easy. It's an easy target versus McDonald's, or Burger King, or.
But what about pornography? You know, like that was another weird part of the puzzle. I was like, I really need to go talk to kids about this because I have a kid now. This stuff bothers me. Well, when I got to the AG's office in 2011, we had a cyber safety presentation, and I went and looked at the information, and I was like, this is all crazy, because I'd been anti-phone for my kids for ever, you know, and then when I started, like, looking at the material that we had, and then looking at statistics about how often kids get propositioned online, and then started talking to cops who worked in internet crimes against children and human trafficking, and I was like, this is nuts.
Yeah.
You know, like...
Well, you were able to put together, like, several disparate things that not everybody gets to see at the same time and be like, oh, that's the picture.
Well, first, I'm sorry, I got to give credit to that presentation existed before I got there.
Yeah.
When and I don't remember the name of the young lady who built it, and I know Doris Budrus and Lynn Southard and Phil Cisneros, they were all part of the team then. They all had some input in it, too. So I only rewrote it like much farther down the road. I just find more information and put it in there. And the more I find out about it, it's enough to make you it's enough to scare you,
right?
You know, but like you don't have to necessarily be afraid of all this craziness if you just get the right information and then make sure that you're paying attention to your kids.
And have I think like some of the hard things about that is the conversation in the first place. Like, it's not a conversation that everybody's like excited to have or waiting to have, or even like some parents don't like get it. I don't think. I don't think they even know.
Yeah, it's definitely right up there with like the birds and the bees talk. Like, okay,
for sure.
Yeah, like
That's
how
awesome.
it's like what is the most effective way as a parent for you to prevent teen pregnancy? To talk to your kids about sex in a way that's healthy and truthful and is not short.
How they're going to get pregnant.
Yes.
Yeah.
And like explain to them what STDs are and how you get them, what you can do to protect yourself, and abstinence if that's your thing. Like I'm not speaking. This isn't just the way that I teach yours, but like if you're a parent and you want to prevent that stuff, how would you prevent something by ignoring it?
Right.
You know.
Right.
Like
just
look
pretend it's not there.
Yeah, and it's like it'll be fine. And then like Katrina happens, and the United States government's like, "Whoa, whoa, I never could have seen that coming." I know, right?
I think it's too like when kids are real small, right? It's like you're their only source of interaction with the world, and a lot of parents, I think, tend to carry that past the point where it's true.
Yes,
you know what I'm saying?
Think so
they
too.
don't understand. I mean, they'll say they understand, but they don't act as if they understand that everyone that kid meets has an entire world that they're bringing to them that they've never seen.
It'll shape their language.
And if they're not warned about it, like they're gonna fall right into it.
Yeah,
they don't even know it's dangerous, right?
Yeah, it's not horrible. This is all societal and cultural stuff that has like individual solutions. It has like family solutions. It has musical and artistic solutions. I mean, these problems of like the lack of interaction between like kids and parents and teachers, families and the education system. This stuff is all totally solvable. But the idea that like we don't want to take the time to have the messy part of it is what jacks everything up. And that's honestly like the place where like a lot of my music comes from, is just to like, all you had to do was like stop and think for like 20 seconds and it would have been cool, but no.
I think too, like a lot of it comes from there's like an isolation vibe. Like I know I personally do a lot of sitting inside playing video games, not wanting to interact with anyone.
Yeah.
And that's widespread. Like there's people that have it way worse than me in that mindset.
Yeah.
I think like that, and then you have kids, and it's all self-contained, so you don't want to talk or think about the world. It's just what we're doing right now.
Yeah. And you had a much more normal childhood where you had to get out of the house, right? I mean, you had to like go there's a bigger world, and so I mean, to do in your old age, I mean, I'm sure it's not like the best thing to sit around for hours a day alone, but you know,
I've done what I need to do.
Yeah, right.
Now it's just the slow descent into old age.
Sometimes the quiet ain't so bad.
Yeah. You know, there's definitely. I'm not gonna lie. I'm like, I turned 39 this year, and a few years ago, my dad was like, "So, do you have your like man cave?" And I was like, "Huh?" If you met my dad, you'd be like, that dude has a what? Because he's like this super busybody, like 65-year-old man that doesn't look 65, and he fixes cars and makes stuff, and you know, and he's like, you don't have a place where you can go to, and he actually has okay, this is my dad. Zach, do you have a place where you can go to by yourself, maybe watch television, take a nap? And I was like, nah, Dad, I don't have that. and he was like, well, that's gonna make you crazy, because as you get older, you need time to be alone so you can have something to offer them. Because if you're running around ragged all the time, what do you got to offer anybody? And I was like, are you so smart? And, you know, they go to the wife and be like, I need to get myself a man cave. She's like, there's a bathroom right over there. Okay, honey.
All right. We'll convert the library into a man cave.
I know, right? But it's interesting, though. Like, we all, I think especially as artists like that, and then I know you guys know this, and people listening will probably understand. Of course, as an artist, you need incubation time, you know, and like that's kind of this weird thing that I'm in right now too. I haven't written any music in a long time.
That's where I'm at, man.
We'll
see if I come out of it. Maybe I won't.
I'm in a creative
Maybe
hole.
I'm done.
Yeah, right. Well, you know what? It's definitely I've started remembering that like it's very cyclic, you know, like sometimes you stay down at the bottom swing of it for years, and you know, different people come out of it at different times. Like that 60-year-old soul singer dude, there's this black dude that sings like James Brown style soul awesomeness.
Oh, I know who you're talking about. I can't remember his name.
And he's like 60, and he just blew up.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Like a year ago. Right?
Yeah, and it's like, so that dude must have been like at the lower swing for a minute, you know?
Right.
And then one day he just was like, whoop. it's all good, you know.
Yeah.
I had this weird experience a few weeks ago where like we've just moved and I keep all my sketchbooks because I draw too and so I was going through my sketchbooks and journals and I found this book that is only lyrics. Apparently, I took like 9 months and only kept a journal of writing lyrics.
Amazing treasures you find that you leave behind.
And it's all in pen, so it was all stream of consciousness style. Like, you know, like it wasn't none of this stop and adjust fire. So, but the if there was going to be a downside to it, it's the fact that like I really didn't appreciate the government that year, and so all the songs are like really like anti-government, anti-war, and yeah. But that's another like little piece of like inspiration. Like I don't know if you guys journal or like
I used to. I don't.
Yeah.
I write stuff occasionally. I have to write all the time because I get stuck if I don't.
Yeah.
I don't do shit anymore. Just sit around and wait. That's all I do.
No, man.
I don't write as much as I want to.
Yeah, and honestly, right now, I write like snatches of songs, but like I have to bone up on my sketching again because now I teach.
Yeah.
And so you can't go to school and like suck. Oh, why are you teaching this class, teacher? I draw better than you. That may be the case, but I got the degree, so shut up.
Because you don't have 4 years of college behind you.
I found that was often the case going to art school.
Oh, you went to art school too?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's got his degree in arts.
I got my BFA. Bachelor of fucking Arts.
Oh, damn, bro.
Yeah.
That's freaking fun. So, and was it, what was were you painting? Were you drawing?
Painting, acrylic, mostly.
Where?
UNM.
Not even.
I was trying to get him to do a gimmick to take away from the iPod, which would be like live painting while doing his doing his rapping.
I don't think it's a good idea. It's not a terrible idea, but it's still kind of gimmicky, and it would still
totally,
at the end me an iPod.
Totally gimmicky.
So,
but that would still be awesome.
See, it would be pretty cool. That's what I said. I said, man, if I saw somebody doing that, I'd stop going to the bar right away and just be I gotta watch, because I don't know how long this is gonna last, so I better just shut up and watch this.
Somebody like doing, I would blow my mind. I think. If you try it, call me so I can come watch.
I will. I'll let you know.
And then I'll drag everybody with me and be like, you're not going to believe this. You're not going to believe this.
Because you'd have to have like one of those like Britney Spears, Garth Brooks headset mics.
Right.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Because you'd need both hands.
Yeah.
You know.
That would be really mind blowing. I'm not joking either. I would not know. I mean, have you ever seen anybody do like two different disciplines like that?
I don't think I've seen it like that. I don't think I've seen it quite like that. I've seen different kinds of ideas built around that.
I've seen like a guy juggle and tell jokes.
Yeah, that kind of stuff. But like, not quite in that context of like a musician creating two types of art at the same time. Like that would I'd be like, that's awesome.
Yeah.
I mean, there's chaotic ways to do that. Like if you had like a blank canvas on the floor and you had like spots that were like Twister, but they were actual paints, and you like walked in them while you were doing your thing on stage, and then you left the thing behind. I mean, but that would be more of like a Jackson Pollock.
You'd also have to, for the audience to see it, you'd have to have like a camera.
Oh yeah, that's true.
And reflection.
It would be cool though to project that on the background.
That would be
cool.
be
really
That'd
cool
be
to see
as a backdrop.
Because then at the end of the show, you'd see how the background changed from like
that's an awesome idea.
But I was out at UNM one day, and somebody had used a what's that bar that the Xbox has?
The Kinect.
Oh yeah,
the Kinect.
And it was like moving the
pixels on like a projected clear thing in front of you, so you could like dance to the music.
The Kinect.
Yeah, well, they ran it through a pixel. It's not a pixel. It's called a. I should know because I program this kind of stuff. Like a particle program. So you can move your hand, and you're like moving your hand through particles, and they have like gravity and physics, and
so it shows how your motion moves,
affects them. Yeah, and so then they point the projector right at you, and then have sheets of paper or sheets of cloth up that like it's like columned towards you. So there's like a 3-dimensional aspect to it. So then as you move, it moves around you and with you. It reacts to your movement.
Sounds awesome.
It's
somebody did a thing like that at the 516 Arts block party.
Yeah.
But like it was the Kinect thing. They had the space outline, but they were operating this like it was like a mat that was connected made up of triangles that were connected on little hinges, and so you'd move, and that would activate this mat to do stuff like this while you were jumping. And I was like, this is ridiculous. I gotta go home and
you know where I have seen something like that. You remember spin art, right? You like spin the thing and like drop the paints and the splatter or whatever. So Michel Gondry, the guy who directed Illuminated Mind, Sunshine of the Eternal
Sunshine of the Spotless Mind.
Yeah, sir. Yeah.
So, with what's his name that played God?
Yeah, Jim Carrey. So Michel Gondry got Bjork and like put.
I want to get Bjork.
Right? Yeah. He put like strings on her fingers to like different colored paints, and then as she played like a piano piece, then like the paint would drop into a spin art thing.
Sweet.
And so like depending on the colors of the piece or whatever, awesome. Like it would affect the spin art results.
There were these two twins at my high school, and they were musical geniuses. I think they both played violin, or one of them played violin and the other one played piano. I don't remember. Mm-hmm. I'm sure they both played many instruments, but they did. We had a senior project at my high school where it was like you had like the last month or two of your senior year was a self-directed project that you could do whatever you want. Then you have to present it at the end. And they did. They got lights that reacted to different registers, and they had the light on that was shown on them on stage react to the music they were playing, which now I guess isn't that novel of an idea, but like
it's still pretty cool.
They programmed it and shit. Like it was awesome at the time for me.
Oh my gosh.
I think the exciting thing is trying to get whatever music is doing to kind of visually represent it, because you're when you enjoy music, you're like, holy shit, this is so amazing. There's only one way to really enjoy it, which is through your ears, which I mean, there's
a reason it's called a show, though. There's, like I said, there's a place for theatrics, Slipknot, Marilyn Manson, that kind of thing.
Right.
ICP, if you want to go there.
Yeah, definitely.
But, yeah, because that's like I said, you go to a show and it sounds fine if you close your eyes because it's the iPod, so it sounds exactly like the song.
Right.
And I'm doing the lyrics fine, so it sounds okay, but it's not captivating.
Yeah.
Like the live show has to have something captivating. Yeah. Like you can go see the Strokes stand there bored and play the same songs over and over while they smoke cigarettes. But
there is something said for simplicity, though.
Yeah.
I saw this one video. Did I show you that one of the Brazilian kid? No, I don't think I showed you that one.
Yeah, you did.
The Brazilian kid who's he's got an empty water bottle.
And he's playing the freaking fake DJ thing.
Yeah.
And I was like, this rocks so hard.
He's like pretending to adjust knobs and faders and shit.
And he's just tapping the water bottle and saying what the DJ said.
Right. But the vocal line or melody line would be.
Yeah. And I was like thinking about that. I was like, what's he doing? He's just going, doom, doom, doom. Come on.
Yeah.
Come on. What?
And it goes for so long.
It does. It's like 12 minutes. And it's like on a TV show.
And I was like sitting there the whole time going like this. Like, this kid is awesome.
Yeah, it was pretty cool. I thought, though, I wasn't that impressed. But what I was impressed by was the commitment.
Yeah.
He's just like, I'm going to do this.
Yeah.
I'm going to do a whole song, and I'm not going to admit that I'm just doing this. I'm going to be committed to the punchline or whatever you want to call it the whole way.
Right.
Like,
you know what's funny is that like that plays on another really interesting artistic and like visual sense that we all have of being able to fill in the blanks. Like, you know how you can pull all the vowels out of a word and you can look at the word and still be able to read it even though all the vowels are gone.
Yeah.
But it's weird that like that kid did it and like all the DJ everything of like your entire experience filled in all the blanks. You're like, yeah.
I mean, that's probably why. Like, I mean, back in like right when I got out of high school, I started going to like raves all the time, and like sometimes they were phenomenal, sometimes they were forgettable.
Yeah,
but like, once you have that knowledge base of like something that like will fill in your blank spots, it's kind of cool when you can see something that's a little more like stripped down. But there's like
it's kind of like if you look at like shitty or art like that you think is shitty because you don't know the history.
Right.
Yeah,
when it's commenting on something you don't know about, it just looks like it's a blue square, and you're like, the fuck.
Right.
But if you know the history of how that evolved,
Yeah,
then
the
you
context
know
makes
that's
difference.
punk rock as fuck.
Yeah.
It's incredible.
Well, you know who are a couple really interesting examples, at least in my neck of the thing, of simplicity are like Take Six and Bob McFerrin. Bob McFerrin by himself is mind blowing. Like I don't
Does he loop and stuff?
No,
when
he
plays live?
just sings live. Like
Really?
this dude sings Blackbird.
And he
by
can
himself.
like beatbox and sing at the same time.
And
Wow.
he can sing a chord because so you can
How?
you buzzed it up. And that's a chord.
That's like throat singing.
He does that too. He went and got every single piece of acapella and was like, I'm gonna do it all. But he did it before anybody else thought that it was doable. Like Blackbird singing the dead of night, and he's like beating on his chest and singing, and you're like, he fills in the blanks for you.
Yeah.
Like I mean, I let's see if I can even. I can't. It's like Blackbird singing in the dead of night. Take these broken wings and learn to fly. And he fills in the blanks. Like you should take a listen
How
to
does
that.
he
Oh my god, I'll
breathe?
have to.
That's crazy.
He probably can do circular breathing.
Well, beatboxing has that too. Like
we can.
He can breathe on the snare. Yeah.
Now, if you do that for 10 minutes straight, there's like you have to like
Your lips
learn.
will get numb.
Yeah, your face gets numb. Your face does get numb. But like you learn as a beatboxer how do I continuously do that? Well, then you set up beats that are actually breathing patterns. And so but Bob McFerrin's like, I did that and then I sang at the same time. You're like, this dude is mind blowing. And he's been around for like 30 years.
Yeah.
You know who blows my mind? He's not that awesome, but is Carter Beauford. He plays drums for Dave Matthews Band.
Wow.
And he beatboxes and does backup vocals at the same time.
That's
and
ridiculous.
He's got a million drums, so he's playing these crazy, complicated drum patterns while he does a little beatbox. Not on all the songs, but from time to time he busts it out.
Still.
And he's blowing bubbles. Like in between, he's chewing gum and blowing bubbles and beatboxing and playing drums. He's awesome.
He's from Mars.
Yeah,
That's
that's
not
great.
That's not human. That's like
He's got
amazing.
chimes and fucking 29 toms or whatever.
I mean,
It's crazy.
So that's kind of the fun thing about Quietly Kept is we have the stripped down thing. It's just really so like trying to always think about introduce like a band or a full drum set like doesn't ever really like work. There's like the room for like if we had like obviously a cello. Who wouldn't want a cello?
Yeah,
but
that's true. Yeah,
I want
always
a cello.
room for cello.
I want a cello. I want
that's dope. That's dope.
that is dope. I want a cellist in my house when I wake up in the morning.
Yeah, as soon as you walk in the door. But I think like to some degree the stripped down thing like works in our advantage because we've all seen the full. We've all seen what's the guy who had the like 30 piece drum set or whatever from
Rush?
Yeah,
Neil Peart.
Yeah. But
That's kind of what Carter Beauford has.
he does.
It's like it's a drum city. It's like, that's not a drum set. This is Drum County, son.
You can't see him. You just see his arm occasionally from there.
right through the stuff.
I know he parachutes down into it because there's no way to like walk out. He's just like, oh, okay.
He lowers down like Tom Cruise in Mission Impossible to his drum kit.
It's like vertical blinds.
Seriously. But yeah, no, I agree. I think, but that kind of that's the nice thing about music and art though is that like you gotta push novelty, and like that's the one thing, and not to like do the complain about commercial music thing, but that's the thing that I get on my son about. I'm like, he's like, can I play a Pandora radio station? I'm like, no more sad white boy guitar music. You gotta play something else, man. And I was like, and he was like, what do you mean? I was like, because it all blended together for me. I was like, it's all like sad, and it's a kid with a guitar, and he's white, and my son's like, nah, okay, Dad, because like he's like, I'm half white, and I'm like, okay, yes, I know. it's like a bad home racist joke thing, but like that's like that's my job as a parent and a musician to poke my kids in the eye and like let them know like, yo, there's there's a lot more cool stuff out there than what you're listening to at the moment, which is fine. You know, I don't ever, unless it's like they've been on Pandora all day playing music while we're working in the yard, I'm like, that's when I get on their case. I'm like, we're listening to a bunch of hip hop now.
Right, right.
And given my druthers, I don't even listen to music. I listen to documentaries.
Yeah, I do a lot of podcasts now.
Yeah?
If I'm listening to anything like in headphones or whatever, it's usually podcasts.
Yeah.
I kind of feel the same way about books sometimes. It's like, I can't read fiction. I don't have time. I need to learn.
Right, right.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I go through those same thoughts too.
Fiction's a hard one.
But then really, it's like you learn just as much from the fiction. It's like the real thing you learn in school is how to interact with the other kids.
Truth
that,
can still show up in fiction.
Yeah.
Right.
Also, like, I've been listening to this guy, Bernard Cornwell, for, like, pretty much started at Christmas. He is this freaking crazy historical fiction writer, and, like, I was not really into this stuff, and then I started reading his stuff, and I'm like, can't live without him. But he writes about, post-Roman era Europe, and he'll take, like, he'll make a character that might have been a very interesting person in the way that, like, maybe how Britain became Britain. Or another one, like how the English rampage across France may have influenced XYZ. But the thing is that, like, it's everything from, like, you know, hearing about, like, different military weapons and tactics that you'd never thought of. It, like, high ground. Why is high ground important? Well, here's a complete illustration on how the high ground is important. Because if you have to ride a horse uphill and you're wearing 200 pounds of armor and the horse is wearing another 200 pounds of armor, the horse is going to get tired before he gets to the top of the hill, and you, even though you're a knight, you're going to get shot with an arrow and die. So always take the high ground. Yeah, you know, but, like, that was, like, that's why that stuff is, like, really interesting to me.
I have this audiobook. It's The Art of War by Sun Tzu with Wu-Tang beats behind it. It's awesome.
Where did you find that?
I don't even remember. It was on YouTube, and I ripped the audio from it. I have it.
I'm going to go find that because that's too awesome and out the other side.
Yeah. I highly recommend it.
Yeah. Okay.
I can't complain like I don't know nobody else. I've been living on this earth for like 3 decades. Doesn't mean any change in my system, but hey, I'm just another man trying to make you listen
in that way. I get my point across and maybe we try to move. If we don't move nothing, I can claim that you're slow, but you don't care more than I do about the way that we've been living. That's okay, cause this is knowledge that I'm giving. I know that I ain't too complex, and that's okay because the way that things go, you'll need a soundbite today for a commercial tomorrow, or try to stick and borrow. I'll just push this on to the next man. There's no plan, but this time when it comes to moving around, I gotta say what I mean, and then I'm out of town. I need another way for the meaning to progress, because we are what we listen to. We get no rest. It's like lights flashing constantly in front of me, and I don't even know if that's gonna benefit you. It's like trying to cut through the clutter. Baby, oh, the butter ain't melted yet. We try to play stick and move cause we're willing to lose, and then the fact of the matter is that we just choose to put another man down, acting like some clowns and fools. We dancing with all these fancy things around. It's a strange place that we've been living in. Our grandparents rooted in the grains, but we wouldn't pay attention. And now everything's so elaborate because culture's missing, and it's become a habit for us to try to cover that up with entertainment. And everybody knows that it's the same. So, come on. I realize that it's hot tide. I think I realize that it's hot tide. I think I realize it. I think I realize it. I think I realize it. I think I realize that it's hot tide. 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 I think I realize it. It's a good time.
Was that called High Tide?
Oh, yes. My name is Zack Freeman, and that song is called High Tide.
Nailed it.
You had one job. One.
But yeah, it's like so much research. Like, I've been toying with the idea of writing recently. Like, it started with this baseball game that I got, this video game, right? And it's like completely customizable, and you can do historical leagues. And I've always been a huge dork. I was an only child, right? So I used to make up my own fake sports leagues when I was a little kid. And I'd design all the uniforms and make up the schedule and figure out a game I could play by myself to play it out, and how it'd make like the championship banner every season and shit. It was ridiculous.
That sounds awesome.
I know. I'm like, I was a pretty nerdy introvert as a kid, but like you just beat everything I did.
Raising the bar. Yeah. So anyway, I'm still doing it these days. I found this baseball game where you can do all of that, and then I figured out that you can make your own country in it, and that you can make a flag for the country, like import the file. And you can add your the names of your own players, so you can kind of make your own languages for your country. So you can have like different ethnic backgrounds that it creates the players' names from.
Yeah.
So I created this whole history of this continent called Atlantica, and and I made baseball teams for it. And I'm like, I should write historical fiction in this world. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Why not?
No, that's like essentially that's kind of like what Dinotopia is.
Yeah.
You know?
That kind of thing.
Yeah, that's interesting.
But even pure fiction thing, I don't know if either of you have read Saga, the comic.
No.
So it's that one right there. It's about these two it's basically about these two warring factions where two people end up mating together of each of the different
Classic
sides.
Romeo and Juliet.
Yeah. But there's some real history there. The royalty are robot humanoid things. I mean, they have screens computer monitors, but they're built like people, and they even kind of breed like people, and so
it's like AI that based itself on people. Or
I have no. It's this alien world that's all the problems are very of Earth and human, but in this fantastical place, and it's amazing. Honestly, I would like to hear about what's the backstory behind your teams?
Yeah.
What is their society? What's your societies like? What are they? Are they farmers?
We could do a whole podcast on the history I already have.
That's awesome.
Freaking hilarious. No, that's really cool because I'm from the other end. For graphic design, I tend to study symbols and stories and why the symbols and stories still mean things to us, so that when I create any kind of design thing, it has it doesn't have an immediate relevance, but it's something I can put an image up that you will look at and be able to get the point behind very quickly because it's related to a symbol that's been around forever.
It's
an
archetype that's ingrained in your head because you live in this society.
Yeah. Which is horrible because, like, if I ever have to do something for cigarettes and I do that really well,
that's
then
advertising.
I just killed everybody.
Well, that's the difference between art and advertising, right? They're both playing the same instrument. One's just using it to lure you into hell, like the Pied Piper and shit. You know?
Yeah, one of my best friends, like when I was probably a junior in college, he was like, "Yeah, man, your design stuff isn't art," and I was like. And he's like my best friend, my buddy, my brother, best friend. And I was like mad at him for weeks. And then one day I was like, yeah, that's right. Because, like, I'm doing this because, like, we got to sell that thing, you know. Like, I don't write music because I got to sell that thing. I don't draw pictures, you know. Art is there because it's there.
There could still be crossover, though.
Yeah.
I mean, because you can use, like, Black Sabbath could write a great song, and then a movie could take that and make a shitty movie with a bunch of Pepsi endorsements in the movie and use that song to sell their shitty movie.
Yeah.
I don't mean
you
that
mean
song.
Iron Man?
You mean
I didn't want to name names.
Point that out now. Yeah.
But, yeah.
Iron Man 3, really, but
But that doesn't mean that the song sucked.
yeah.
No, definitely. I think like gangster rap and hip hop is like a really interesting playground for that kind of idea because, like, depending on who you talk to and what movies and what documentaries you watch, there's this really interesting place where, like, you know, rappers will be some rappers, and I'm not going to go into the naming thing or whatever, but like one guy would be like, you know, so like I wanted to get out of the game, but like I wanted to do music, and I heard other rappers doing stuff, so I was like, well, I'll just get some money together and go record and talk about my experiences as a drug dealer and as a pimp. And then, like, all of a sudden that gets really popular in his community. And then people who listen to it are like, oh man, that sounds like an interest. And that's not always the case, you know, it's not always the case. But like when people, I'm kind of like, you know, I admit that, like, I've had some stupid thoughts according to the music that I've listened to.
You're saying people want to imitate it. It sounds cool to pimp women and slam crack.
When you live in an all-white community where all your friends are listening to, like, gangster rap because, like, they, you know, it's an all-white community, nothing really exciting happens here.
Right.
And then they do
Vicarious.
things... Yeah. They do things like emulate the behaviors of the songs that they hear just to be like, yeah, I'm hard. Like, you know, like... In the worst case, this is worst case, but like when I was in high school, I was around people who were like, you know, they'd get the girl in the back room and have consensual sex with her, and then they'd kick her out and recite the words of the song to her.
Hoes,
yeah, and all the dudes are like, you know, fist bumping, and I remember just kind of being like, that's really weird because why would you act like that? But that's a worst case scenario. Yeah,
right? Why be nice?
Why? Why just be nice to her? She's a nice girl. Come on now.
She was nice enough about 10 minutes ago.
Yeah. But that's like the horrible side. That's like the horrible side.
Yeah.
It's a weird thing, even like with the artists that put out some of that early music, as they became rich and famous and were clearly no longer in that world, they start imitating their younger self.
Yeah.
Just on stage. Like,
yeah.
That's weird, right?
Yeah.
That is weird.
And then they make a movie about you.
But then what are they going to do? Are they going to be like, oh, the maid picked up my trash the other day?
Did another movie with another 10-year-old.
Are we there yet? Hell no.
Yeah, that's hilarious. And it's funny because, like, I have a lot of respect for them dudes. I'm like, hey, you know what? You got out of being poor. You got out of being violent. And you're making a lot of money now. And your kids are safe and happy. You know, that's you kind of came a long way for a dude that started where you started. So, like, props, you know.
Yeah. But then there's the question, right? Is there responsibility? Is there a larger responsibility to the community? Like, if you're, you know what I'm saying? Like,
I think there is, but you as an artist can choose.
Right.
You know, like, everybody has a choice. You know, you can choose to be a role model and be somebody who helps, or you can be a trashy individual artist who makes money and says horrible things and acts horrible. That's your choice, you know. I don't think
I'd like to aim for a nice middle ground.
Yeah, right. Like, can I be kind of trashy but still be like a role model? No, but no. That's the thing is that, like, if you have a, my opinion is, if you're a crappy person, then I don't like your art. I don't care how good it is, and I don't care how good your music is.
Yeah.
If you're not a good person, I'm not gonna like your stuff.
Are you saying because it's reflected in it, or just if you If something is ostensibly good, but you know they're an asshole, you won't listen to it.
Yes.
That's what you mean?
Yeah. And that's my personal preference because I have a choice in that. Like, I don't have to be dominated by what everybody else thinks is right and proper. And that's why I'm like, I understand you guys not wanting people to use the N-word, but if you're going to stand here in front of me and tell me that you want to tell rappers what they get to talk about, I'm not going to support that because,
that's
like, first off, I'm like, first off, they're not going to listen to you. You got to get that in your head first.
Right.
You know, like, you're going to come here with your, like, quasi-Republican, conservative, Christian, oh, why did they say that? They're injuring their own communities. I'm like, they're not. They're doing their art, and they're talking about what they see. And it's none of your business to tell them how to act because you're not going to go to their community and help. You're not going to put any money in their pocket. And so they, as a performer and as somebody who's working, have a right to do what they're going to do. I don't have to respect what everybody does. And, like, that's a personal freedom that I appreciate because, like, I'm going to give you the room to do what you do. And if I don't like what you do, I'm going to take my kids and get them as far away from you as possible. But there's a lot of choices like that are taken away from us by the radio, by television. I took my family to see Mad Max last night. I thought that my wife and daughter would think that was great. They didn't think that it was great at all. And we watch action movies together all the time. My wife is like, she's like, if I want to watch the most obscure, stupid, only in subtitles kung fu movie, my wife is right there like, let's do it.
You found the one.
That's
you know,
that's awesome.
But we went to see Mad Max and her and my daughter were just like,
I've heard so many mixed things about it.
Yeah.
I thought it was badass.
I've heard terrible and great and nothing in between.
Thoroughly enjoyed
so
it.
weird.
I'm like, oh, go ahead.
No, go. You.
Well, me and my son, I liked the creative part of it. I thought that movie was, like, intensely creative. But then I thought about it. I was like, one of the reasons that I find it, like, definitely, like, super, super violent is because I was watching it next to my 11-year-old daughter. Mm-hmm. And that changes things. Like, you, as a parent, like, it's not that I'm two different people any times, but, like, there's definitely moments where I'm like, oh, this is awesome. Like, when I'm, like, I do jujitsu, when I'm getting chucked around or maybe when I'm sparring, I'm like, this is great, you know? But if you're watching from the outside, you might be like, Freeman is getting his butt whooped, you know? And I'm in there just like,
watching your kid in that situation.
Yeah. You know, so
you're going to be a lot more nervous.
Yeah. So, like, definitely, when I had time to stop and think about it, I was like, ooh, I didn't stop and think about how my daughter fences and knows jujitsu and she likes to box. So I was like, oh, she'll love this. And she's just like,
huh.
No. There's a scene in there with, like, a naked lady. You don't see anything, but the 11-year-old, she's not really into that kind of thing. Right. You know, the scantily clad, you know, quasi-teenage wife thingies, you know, that might be okay with a lot of people. My 11-year-old daughter, she's not that kind of girly. You know, she's girly and feminine, but, like, not like that.
Right.
Yeah.
You know, she's like, I'm feminine and I'll punch you in the jaw. But if you buy me ice cream, I might change my mind. Yeah.
How did she not love Furiosa, though?
I think
she had a missing arm.
I know. I think
a robot arm.
I'm gonna ask her that. And find out. You know, because, like,
what are your feelings on the robot arm, young lady?
I know. And she'd answer. Oh man. So, like, one day, me and my wife are like, I've had a crush on this. This is when she was in 4th grade. I've had a crush on this boy for like a year. I was like, no, she didn't. And my wife was like, I think she did. And so I just walked up to my daughter. I was like, hey, yo, did you have a crush on Matt for like a year? And she was like, yeah. So I was like, and my wife turns around to me. She's like, she never would have told me that. I was like, I didn't even think about that before I asked her. You know, but that's just another wonky part about, like, what we think other people, our kids, society's perception of what we're doing as artists is, you know?
I remember as a young kid, I don't know how old I was, maybe even like 8, maybe younger, maybe 6 or 7. I remember having the thought, like, I'm a different person at home than I am at school. Like, I remember thinking that. Like, and that's true. Everyone's different in every situation. You know, like, I don't talk like this at work necessarily.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, you know, what's funny is that was, like, kind of a turning point for me as I know I keep on bringing up the parenting weirdness, but that's like a big part of because I have them. But I
hear that happens a lot in the world. I'm sure every listener can relate.
All right, we know you've got cancer, but let's go ahead and move along.
I know, totally.
I guarantee everyone listening to this has either been a child or a parent.
Yeah,
or both.
Right?
So.
Has either known a child or a parent.
They're like, I kind of know. I think I saw what you were talking about once. But so I was in a National Guard suicide prevention training, and I get a text from my wife, and she's like, yo, call me back right now. So I go outside, and she's like, Carlos Vigil just killed himself. This 16, 17-year-old guy had been bullied at school.
I remember hearing about that.
Yeah, so he hung himself, and so I'm at WLC, which is a training course for the National Guard, and I had like 2 more weeks up there because you have to stay up there for the entire training, even though you're in the same state. And I was like, whoa, man, this kid committed suicide. I wonder. And not that I want. It's not a wonder thing. Like, there's a lot that parents can do, and don't. I'm not saying that his parents didn't do everything that they could. They did. I know, and I actually know his mom and dad, and they're awesome people.
Right.
And just some things go like that. And I was like, oh man, what could I do in my life to make sure that like my son and daughter knew that if it was rough, they could come talk to me. And I was like, you know what, I'm gonna not be any different to them than I am to everybody else, because then I was like Zach Goofy, but then when I get around my son, I'm like, right. And I was like, you know what, that's what I'm gonna change, because I can still be his dad, but I can joke more, and I can talk in voices more around him, and I can tell stupid jokes, and I can let him kind of goof off with me too, and still be like, nah, Negro, that's not gonna fly. And have it stick, Right.
Because you're both being yourselves all the time, right?
Yes.
So he's not going to be afraid to be that if he needs to be. Like,
yes.
He's not going to be like, I can't talk to my dad about this.
Yeah.
Right?
That's totally, and that's what ended up happening.
Seems sound to me.
Yeah, and now, don't get me wrong. Like, it doesn't mean he told me everything first. That's not what happened. Like, he still goes to mom and asks her, and like I told him, you can't have a serious girlfriend. You can't only date one person until you're like 16. He's like 15 and 5 months. He's like, I have a girlfriend now. And I was like, hey, girl, I told you not to do that. And then they broke up like a couple weeks ago and it was, it's parenting. But, I was like, yo, man, you got sports, you have friends, you have a lot of studying to do, you have a job, and you have your own interests. Why do you think you should sit down and play house with somebody and have a serious relationship and put time into that when you're a kid? You don't need, and that was,
that's the archetype. That's what all the movies told us all to do.
Yeah,
TV.
And that's what we saw our parents do. That's what
Don't blame TV.
I blame video games and rap music.
I blame the same things, and McDonald's too, man.
Yes,
the creepy clown and their cheap fries,
and their weird chunks of deep fried chicken goodness. That's awful for you.
Yeah, I can't. It's not even good to me. I can't. And I'm addicted to fast food, but McDonald's is not good. I can't eat it.
I feel like I failed at life when I eat McDonald's, but I'm sorry. I will destroy chicken nuggets. I will.
From time to time, I'll eat like the bacon biscuit or whatever. The McDonald's breakfast
to me is always like fun, but it's fun because it's hard to get. Like, they're talking about changing it so it's all the time, and I'm like, no. If you're not up at like 5 or 6 until like 10 o'clock, you don't get breakfast.
Yeah.
I'm taking credit for that.
Yeah.
You remember we were talking to our friend that owns a McDonald's?
Yeah.
I don't know if you were there or if this is a different time, but I remember being like, can't we get breakfast anytime? He's like, I could make that happen. And then like, seriously, like a month later, I drove by and saw that they were doing trials here in town at a couple locations. And I was like, did I make that happen? Am I responsible for this? Like, I'm just going to take credit.
Go for it.
You should.
Go for it.
Right. Totally.
But also, no!
Why not? It ruins the special
It does ruin
appeal.
It's silly. It's silly that it ruins the special appeal, but it kind of does. It's just like, oh, now I could go whenever. No, it's like...
It's kind of like how Star Wars isn't as much fun anymore now that there's a plush toy that you trip on every time you walk through an aisle at
Here's what it is. That's the moment when I get to, like, treat myself, like reward myself for being up at those hours, because those are my sleeping fucking hours. Don't take those from me.
Adam Sandler movie where he's like, I haven't been up early enough to get McDonald's breakfast for years.
That right there is like, You have a problem, is what's actually going on here. Don't congratulate yourself. You should go see somebody that has a soft chair you can sit in. You can kind of explain yourself.
I was going to say, no, you should be, if you're going to do anything, you should be running. You should be jogging.
Right?
Jogged to McDonald's.
Yeah, there you go. There you go. And then reward yourself.
I would do that.
I would probably do that too.
Because I can't. That's one thing that I fall off on. I cannot get up in the morning and work out, and I've been trying to do that. And
it's the only time I can do it.
Really?
If I try to wait till after work, something will come up.
Yeah.
You know, there's always an excuse.
Yeah.
But if I'm like, I just woke up, I have 3 hours till I have to be at work. I'm doing it now. That's the way to get it done.
That's pretty
for me.
Yeah.
But, you know, although I find that I definitely perform better if I do it in the evening.
You know what's
looser. You know.
You know what's funny is that, like, over the last this actually happened right as I left Denver. One of my friends who teaches a certain vocal training style, it was like, okay, he taught me about like different resonance chambers and stuff where you sing out of that affect the way and style that you sing, like rock and roll sung primarily up here, and then classical
through the throat,
yeah, you know, and so like he was like, well, your best bet is probably something along the lines of getting a lot of blood flowing through your body and your resonance chambers so that they act correctly. So before you perform, you should go like run a mile or two. And I was like, really? And so I tried it. And so like now, if there's a major thing I got to do and I have the time, that's definitely what I go do. And his reasoning was simple. He's like, everything gets more blood going through it. When you're worked out, everything has more blood going through it. So you sitting down and singing to warm up, that's probably not going to do it. And I was like, eh. And then I tried
it. You need a real warm up.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
And it gets rid of the jitters. I still get on stage and get all, you know. No, it doesn't matter if it's 10 people or like 200. I'm still like, why am I getting nervous? I've been doing this since I was like 18. And then the reptilian part of my brain's like, shut up, you're going to look stupid.
You're going to die, fight or flight.
Exactly.
I missed that. Well, I gotta do something.
That is probably what you're missing, is that adrenaline rush, man. It's addictive. Like I have resigned myself to the fact that I'm a lifer. Mm-hmm. Like I'm probably not going to stop performing as long as I'm able to perform.
Yeah.
Which is cool on the one hand because I don't feel like I've ever been better than I am right now. At least, you know, technically or whatever on the instruments and stuff like that. But I'll never be able to like not. I can't stop the junk, man. I need the stage
fix. Yeah.
No, I honestly think that like it's not cool to stop performing. Like you continue in some capacity. I don't care if it means that like you only do it at church, but I honestly am coming to the thing that like as artists and musicians in your community, not everybody is that. And there used to be a time and place in cultures where that was really important to have around. On a local level.
If you can talk, you can sing. If you can walk, you can dance.
Yes. Yeah. You know? And like that kind of sensibility is not really here anymore because of the dominating forces of pop culture. And then it's like
you gotta
everything.
Be rock stars, man.
Exactly. Like you can't.
Be a star.
Right.
You talk to teenagers and they're like, this is actually how you should go about doing your performance thing and maybe putting together your junk for, to get it ready to be seen by a rep. And they're like, well, who are you? And how do you know all that? And you're like, well, because I've been doing this since I was 18, and I did, X amount of tours and playing this song. And they're like,
and I'm not asking you for any money for this information
exactly,
either.
and some of them are like, well, you're not famous, so obviously your ideas don't work. And it's like,
that's not the only goal in the world.
Which brings me to something very interesting. I was listening to a bunch of Batwing stuff this weekend, just when I was working on stuff. And I remembered, because we've talked about, like, oh, we never made it. But then I was like, well, it depends on what your metric is. I mean, we've talked about that, too, like what making it is. But there was one show we played at, what was that, All Ages Space that was downtown?
Man,
I'm totally forgetting it.
Too.
Robert Montoya used to run it.
And it used to be up on Lomas.
And Morningside-ish. I'm totally spacing on it.
You always give me the brain aids whenever I talk to you.
That's okay. I can't remember it either. But anyway, so it was this all ages space.
Mm-hmm.
We're on stage. We're performing. For some reason the like mics go out, like just the vocals go out, and people were like singing the song back to us. Like the crowd. It was a nice sized crowd. It wasn't like packed, but it definitely was far from empty. Mm-hmm. And all of a sudden we're like hearing our own lyrics. Like that moment to me was like, okay, if I never like got on Saturday Night Live or, you know, played Madison Square Garden or, you know, toured Japan and Europe, like that is awesome. That is amazing. Like the fact that anybody even knows what the hell I'm saying
and remembered it and liked it enough to come and
scream it back
crazy.
at you. Like that, I don't know.
That was wasn't that like a showcase for some tour or label or some kind of thing?
It was something like that. Like, yeah.
How did they not pick us up?
We only had like two or three songs to play or whatever, and we played that one because we were always like, that's the finisher, and that'll, you know, blow some minds. And but that moment, I mean, I don't know, of all the goals I could ever have as a musician, like having that one happen, like I can.
What was that, Blood Song?
Yeah, it was Blood Song. Yeah, Fight for the Air, Reach for the Sun. Yeah,
that's freaking cool.
It was awesome.
By the way, do you have any Batwings for Lab Rats music that like I can hear? Because I haven't heard your stuff. Shame on me.
I'll play some for you after we wrap this up.
Hell yeah,
I got it.
But no, I agree because like I'm in being a parent, like, and I was talking to somebody about this the other day. I was like, you know, I have had opportunities and stuff, but like when it was like put that up against your kid and his development right now, like what do you want? Like one of my biggest fears in life is like gain the world, lose your soul. And I'm not nobody, you know, but the idea of like not being around to at least put in a serious effort in being a father, and to two kids, to be a father to a boy and a girl, like you can't be leaving girls out in the world without dads. That's not cool,
right?
You know, especially if you exist and you live in the same house, you really need to be there and be a part of it to show her that this is actually what healthy men look like. Like, don't date the bad boys because the bad boys are horrible. I used to be one. That's why I'm telling you.
They're fun for a minute, and then
but there's consequences.
Then there's consequences.
Well, I mean, like how, you know, it's funny because like the experience of like me and my wife were that, you know, she was just getting into a band. I was cool. I was in a touring band, and then she got pregnant. And I was like, I just totally took you out of the game, you know. But like we stuck it out. We made it. We made it to 9 years of being together, and then we got married. And now when I look back on like, well, I don't really do a whole lot of looking back, but I'm like, that was the right choice for me. Like I had opportunities in there that were cool and that helped keep pushing the music thing along, but I'm not really interested in being gone for 6 weeks at a time doing my art right now. Like maybe in a couple of years when like maybe my daughter's a little bit older and a little bit more self-sufficient, then yeah, because I don't really care that much. I'm like, I've had a day job for a while. I just quit the day job. I'm kind of like okay with like things being a little but like me being a dad, that has to happen. There's no
right.
There's no like,
up in the air about that.
No, yeah. And that to me is, you know, if when I die and I'm asked by God like, hey, so did you get that one thing right that I'm pretty sure I let you know you needed to not mess up?
You had one job.
I know, right? And it's like, I did. I actually did. And it's not, you know, I didn't stop doing music. I don't think that's part of it. I didn't stop doing art. That wasn't, you know, that wasn't part of it. People are like, oh, I have to let go of my dreams. I'm like, you just don't have to do them at capacity XYZ. You can do them at capacity 1, 2, 3 over here. And you never know. That may generate better results. I did it over here. My kids are healthy. My wife still likes me. I have a house. I have a truck and a motorcycle and a computer and a camera. That's kind of a lot.
That's
you know?
awesome.
And you can make your music.
And I can make my music. I'm like, they're good to go, you know?
Yeah. Well, that's a great note to end on, honestly. I mean, does it get any better than that?
That sums it up.
Tacos.
Act right, kids. Take it from Zach.
Behave well, and well will behave you.
Yeah.
Word.
Something like that.
Yeah. Anything? Anyone else got anything they got to say?
Yeah.
No, there's a lot of stuff I'm going to go home and parse out of this conversation.
Are you you playing anywhere anytime soon?
No, I might have something coming up on October 2nd, but if anything does come up, I'll put it up on Facebook.
Where can the good people reach you?
I am Zack Freeman on Facebook.
That's ZACK.
Yeah. All right. And I'm the only black one in Albuquerque.
Black Zack
with the white wife and the Puerto Rican looking kids. You see that one is like that's the
him.
guy.
Yeah, that's the guy.
I'm not sure.
It's like the kids look Puerto Rican. It's got to be him.
They almost look Dominican.
No, they look Puerto Rican, bro.
Word. All right. Well, I am Loki Sapfoot.
And I'm Holiday Rob.
And Zack Freeman has been our guest.
Yeah, he's going to have some performances, which you will definitely be hearing.
Yeah, well, you've already heard some of them, theoretically, after I've edited this.
Right.
All right. We'll catch you next week. Go fuck yourself. Peace out.
Later.
Say it ain't so. We're ready to go. We're ready to glow. We're ready to push. We're ready to run. We're ready to do something that's more fun than this. I said, say it ain't so. We're ready to go. We're ready to glow. We're ready to push. We're ready to run. We're ready to do something that's more fun than this. I said, say it ain't so. We're ready to go. We're ready to glow. We're ready to push. We're ready to run. We're ready to do something that's more fun than this. I said, say it ain't so. We're ready to go. We're ready to glow. We're ready to push. We're ready to run. We're ready to do something that's more fun than this. I said, it's not about the dollars and cents. It's not about anything that I just spent. It's not about. Yo, we scream and shout. We wanna push and shove and jump about. Yeah, it's not about nothing that we ever seen. It's just about the stories that we win. We are wondering why we act the way we do. Materialism is gonna stick like glue. It's got you and me arguing over push cars. When it comes to push and shove, we just push hard. Then we gotta push to make more yards, because we gotta push and shove to show that our God is tough and that ain't willing to move us. But what the heck is gonna do us in? We are sitting around like the next stage is coming. But the funny thing is that we're all running from little tiny problems that we don't just expose, and then we end up at the therapist, still picking our nose, and we're handing out the dollars and cents to create money for the facts that we try to live out. Now let's scream and shout, now let's push and shove to show that we got love, cause it's all good deep in the hood. And then back to that Walmart, pushing our cars, we try to bounce off each other, man. Where does it start? It don't end if you got friends pushing them 20-inch rims on their big trucks, asking if you and me have any change. Grab it deep within our pockets, and we're wondering if this dude is just another alcoholic. Well, say it ain't so. We're ready to go. We're ready to glow. We're ready to push on. We're ready to run. We're ready, we're ready, we're ready, we're ready, we're ready. Say it ain't so. We're ready to go. We're ready to go. We're ready to push on. We're ready to run. We're ready to do something that's more fun. We wanna bounce with the disco beat. We wanna bounce with that microphone, feeling fleet as we're running from leopards and tigers and bears. Oh my, it's really funny when we never get our share of the pie. It's all good, just take a look at your hands. It's really funny when we don't recognize it for mankind. See, we're still here watching ice cats melt. And the funny thing is carbon ain't nothing that we smell or dealt. We just try to hide inside our houses that are built from the same thing that's made out of stars. You can't refute the fact that there is a God, because you can't explain that by looking through no microscope. If you don't cope, then you might feel funny. Open up your wallet and you know this ain't no money. Gasoline is in our cars, we're driving back to work again. Once again, y'all, it's about the same anthem. That's okay, that's okay. If we singing that's the day, then it's okay. I'm not trying to get crazy or butter my phrases up, but the fact of the matter is, this is funny up, funny up, funny up, funny up. Yes, y'all, yes, y'all, yes, y'all, yes. Ready to push, ready to run, ready to do something that's more fun than this. Say it ain't so. We're ready to go. We're ready to glow. We're ready to push. We're ready to run. We're ready to do something that's more fun than this. Say it ain't so. We're ready to go. We're ready to glow. We're ready to push. We're ready to run. We're ready to do something that's more fun than this. Say it ain't so. We're ready to go. We're ready to glow. Ladies and gentlemen, that song was called Say It Ain't So. And my name is Zack Freeman. Have a great day.